Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have my good brother here in the temple, our resident waifu hunter, good brother Akira.
It's a new year, but same old bullshit, which means SAO is still fucking shit, because fuck SAO, and fuck Asuna as well.
So, last time around we tackled a lot of the core mechanics, but especially Demon Fusion, which was a complicated affair, but it's a damn miracle that it was even able to work. Because that's always been the elephant in the room when it comes to adapting Mega 10 into tabletop, is how do you make Fusion work without it getting ridiculously complicated. And it's certainly complicated here, but nowhere near as bad as it could have been. Like, I remember having a Persona Fusion calculator shortly after Persona 3 came out, and that makes a lot of backdoor calculations. Here it's not as bad, though the Fusion ID thing is a bit weird. But this week around, we're going to be tackling data, which is largely going to involve things like equipment, things like the skills, and so forth. This does mean that there's going to be a good amount of skimming, for no other reason than if we went through each ability individually, things would start to get very, very redundant. Especially with, like, the elemental spells.
Oh yeah.
But let me switch the page over here. So the first thing that we go into is skills, and specifically the types of skills. So we have melee attack, self-explanatory, and they cost HP. Ranged attack, also self-explanatory and cost HP. Melee attacks use strength, ranged attacks use agility. As well as melee and range power, respectively. Magic attacks use magic for accuracy and uses spell power for effect, costs MP. Support magic, self-explanatory, automatically successful unless a power roll is required, costs MP. Minor skills, auxiliary skills that can't be used separately from your turn's major action. You can't use the same minor skill more than once per turn, automatically successful. Counter, things that you use instead of dodging when receiving an enemy's attack. They allow you to counterattack. Counter skills cannot be countered nor dodged. So you don't have the counter like you would in, say, Disgaea.
Right.
Instant, skills that can interrupt and change the result of a check or other effects. Passive, pretty self-explanatory. And info, skills for info gathering. And then we have the further data on the skill. If there's a white or black square, white squares indicate a limited use skill, so it can only be used once per scenario. If it can be used learned multiple times, it may be used as many times as it has been learned. Then name, then cost. You can technically kill yourself using a skill if it costs HP. Then we have the target. Basically how many targets the skill has. So 1, single enemy. 2 enemies. If it's F1, it's a single enemy in the front row. If it's F row, it's all enemies in the front row. If it's row, all enemies are allies in a row. And if it's all enemies or all allies. The TN indicates the stat used for the base target number. Though some skills have a specialized percentage, and they'll have that noted as their TN. If it says auto, it automatically succeeds. You can't multi-action auto skills. And we have TN mod, basically the modifier for the target number.
Right.
Yep. Power, the base power used before you make a power roll. Power mod, the modifier for power. Wep refers to the power modifier of melee weapons, while gun and bow refer to their respective ranged weapon. if it says Fang or Claw, then skills like Enhanced Fang or Enhanced Claw can be added. Affinity, which is basically the element of the attack. And Effect, self-explanatory. There are some other notes when it comes to skills. If now the square thing I already talked about. If it has multiple targets, the check and power roll are rolled once and applied to each target. I'm actually glad for that. It's not a case of rolling for each individual. Because sometimes that can result in some bullshit moments where you miss when you shouldn't have.
Oh my god, that's the worst.
Mm-hmm. Now, buff and debuff, the main thing there is it can be stacked up to 4 times for a single parameter, which that is something we already talked about. NPC skills are basically ones that player characters can't use, nor demons that they've summoned or demons they've transformed into. Similarly, boss skills can only be used by bosses. Counter is one that allows you to dodge and counter, depending on which one you pick, while some of them just don't allow you to dodge, so you still have to tank the hit in order to hit back. And there are some skills that use all your HP. And even if you have something like Endure or something that would prevent an insta-kill, the skill that would kill you takes priority. Which is good, because otherwise that would result in a really bullshit combination. You know, imagine somebody using a KO kind of skill, but they survive with 1 HP.
I'm getting flashbacks to the final boss in Mario Luigi Superstar Saga.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that whole thing where I believe that was the one where if you die, you have to go through the whole last cutscene all over again.
Not just the cutscene, the whole fucking fight.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta make sure your speed stats are up to par. Otherwise, the boss will go first and will possibly even kill you before you even get a chance to figure out its attack pattern.
Yeah. I will admit, if somebody asks me to remember one thing out of the Mario and Luigi games, I will always bring up Fawful.
Everybody always brings a fuffle.
It's because he's a comedian endurance test. How much can you get out of one joke? The joke being crazy-ass English.
And it never gets old.
But first we have the melee attack skills, all in one nice little chart. Now, as somebody may look at this chart and go, well, when do you get what skill? That's going to be determined by the classes that you pick or what kind of demon you are. But they're in the subcategories of natural, so things like breath attacks, wings attacks, and so on. Unarmed. There's plenty of unarmed skills, so for those who want to play the monk gimmick, you know, like me, there's plenty there. There's plenty to go with. I do like roundhouse kick, which lets you do 2 strike attacks on 1 front row foe, each doing damage. Both attacks require hit and dodge checks, multi-action disabled, costs 12 HP. And the power mod is 10. But then at the bottom you've got stuff like landslide, which is it costs 99 HP, targets all, has a power mod of 40, and is doing almighty damage to all foes. Let's see, then you have weapon. Melee attacks made using a weapon. I should also note that if you have Enhanced Fang and Enhanced Claw, you can boost unarmed attacks. Then you have Fang and Claw skills, which obviously can be boosted with Enhanced Fang or Enhanced Claw. Then the Self-Destruct skills, which are exactly what you think they are. Although I'd probably advise not using self-destruct because it deals its damage to all allies and foes, as opposed to sacrifice, which just does it to all foes.
Yeah.
And then there's Kamikaze with a mod of 70 with a power mod of 78 that does almighty damage to one foe. Because I hate that guy so much, I will take him out with me. Would you say that's a? I would say that's a crash out move, but the move's called Kamikaze, so kind of redundant.
I'm still gonna call it a crash out move.
Mm-hmm. Then we have ranged attacks, starting with firearms. I do like that they called one of them "Make My Day," which attacks one foe using a gun, dealing gun damage, ignores physical defense, consumes one bullet. Which is very nice. And we have thrown weapons for, well, throw weapons. Items need not be prepared beforehand. And we have bow attacks. Each attack consumes a specified number of arrows, though most of them seem to only do one arrow, except six-fold arrows, which does 6. Then we have magic attack, skills that perform magic attacks made using magic checks and spell power. And this is where we get the standard stuff, you know, your Agis, your Bufus, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Though I do like that with some of them they do have some additional effects that you can put in. With Elec, with the Zeo spells, they have a chance to shock. And as I mentioned before, Zeo spells in Mega 10-1 were busted because you could stun lock people. Since it was very easy to stun by casting Zeo.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it only lasts one round, but then you can cast it again. So as long as you still got MP, you can just keep casting it and stun lock them while everybody else bum rushes. Let's see, then force damage. Then magic that does almighty damage. The last one on the list being Mouth of God, which perform an almighty attack on the foe with the lowest magic stat with a 100% chance to insta-kill. Not usable by PCs or their demons. Gee, I wonder why. Then we have Expel, which can either insta-kill or cut HP. And some of them have a chance to do things like shock, like say Divine Scripture can do that. And we have Death, which is, chance to insta-kill.
Yep.
Then we have Curse, which has a chance to inflict statuses like poison or close. Nerve, which has a chance to inflict bind or paralyze. Then Mind, which can do a variety of status effects, but it seems to mostly do happy, panic, sleep, or charm with a lot of them. So Eternal Rest is a nice touch there. I think I gave a similar spell to Diabolos for my system. Just being able to do crap tons of damage against any enemy that's inflicted with sleep. And we do have a few more of charm, obviously.
Right.
Then support magic. Yeah, then we have support magic, your healing ones, which are automatically successful. Cure, which are status recovery ones, and some of them do healing and are auto-successful. And this is where that whole square thing it goes. The filled squares, those are ones that you can just use as long as you can pay the cost. The ones that you see with a checkbox, those ones you can only be used once. Which would make sense because those ones seem to be the strongest ones possible. Like for example, Devil's Smile in the Nerve one, which targets all. Perform a nerve attack on all humans with a 50% chance to paralyze. With no cost. So I suppose it balances out by the fact that you can only do that once.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah. Whereas in Cure we have Recharmdra, which costs all HP, targets everyone, automatically succeeds, fully restore the HP and MP of all allies participating in the battle. However, the user loses all their HP and dies. Yep. And of course we have protection and some NPC-only skills. Such as Rest and Call Ally. I am glad that Call Ally has a one-use limitation, because I could see somebody using that to constantly call allies to do a Zerg rush. You know,
no.
Imagine every round they use... It's one monster, then they use Call Ally, so now there's 2. Then the next round, both of them use Call Ally, so there's 4. It just keeps exponentially multiplying. That'd be a good way to have the GM make an enemy out of everybody. But no, in this case, they can only do that once. That doesn't mean that they could do the Zerg Rush, it would just take longer. And we have the minor, counter, and instant types, which provide minor actions or influence checks. These are the secondary kind of actions. Things like card skills, things like Demon Transformation or Summoning, Beast Eye and Dragon Eye, which gives additional actions. And our boss exclusive, or I thought this might happen, which lets you retroactively purchase one item of encounter rate A. You must immediately pay the required cost to obtain it. Learnable multiple times. You know, it's for those people who have that one thing that in their pocket that might be useful.
Yeah.
Obviously, the counter skills are in place of a normal dodge check to counterattack. Some of them are dodge and counterattack, and some of them are just counterattack after being hit. But after that, we have instants, and most of these seem to be one-offs. Yeah, all of them were. And negotiation for the conversation checks. We talked about that previously.
Right.
Then battle. Usable at the beginning or end of a battle. And I think one of the more useful ones, even though it's going to cost a fate point, is Card Hunt. Use when a demon is defeated and turn them into a card. So
I already have enough monsters in my fucking deck. What the hell do you want me to do?
Let's see. Then passive. So starting with multipliers, each of them multiplies the HP and MP rate. Though it does a static amount for demons, because they're going to be getting more HP and MP just by leveling up. Period. Then enhancement, so enhancing power. And keep in mind, even with all of these skills, there's only a certain amount of... You're only going to be able to have so many skill slots. And as you develop, you are going to have to make some choices about what skills you want to keep and what ones you want to drop. But, see, then affinity change, which is just gaining new affinities.
Right.
And then the demon-only skills. A lot of them are support ones that are giving some kind of boost. I do like the boost ones, which multiply the power rating before power roll by 1.5 times. And since I mentioned Enhanced Claw and Fang, that just means that you add +5 to the power of unarmed attacks and either Claw or Fang skills. Then we have Info Gathering, which are used in approach scenes to get information, items, and etc. One of them that could be potentially useful is Demon Fusion, which lets you do that without having to go to the Cathedral of Shadows. Though, of course, you can't use it during combat, because that would be ridiculous. And then a few general skills. Athletics, survival, and maneuver. So there's no shortage of skills. But then we have items. Basically the equipment and consumables that you can use. Between weapons and armor, they have a few stats. One, GP, the recommended GP for the item to appear. I will remind people that GP in this is not like gold points, or gold pieces, it is gate power, i.e. the difficulty of an area.
Right. I was just thinking that.
VT is the vitality required to equip the item, i.e. you need to have a certain vitality score. Back in Sword World, you may recall that all the weapons and armor had a strength requirement. Same principle here.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. Okay.
Sex, i.e. if it's exclusively for males or females. Alignment, you need to have... If alignment is noted, you need to have at least 10 points in that alignment in order to use it. And it has to be your highest alignment. Buy and sell is self-explanatory. And equip skills is noting the fact that some equipment will grant you skills just by having it. They're treated as normal skills, but they don't count towards your limit. Now, there are some specific things for weapons. Each human PC can equip up to 2 weapons. While some equipment may require both hands to be used or need to be set on the ground, it's assumed they can be quickly repositioned or prepared for use alongside other weapons. Additionally, a character's handedness does not affect weapon equipment or usage. So so it's not caring about the whole are you left or right-handed kind of thing.
Cool.
So the weapons are types, which is usually going to be melee and ranged. Ranged weapons are divided into bows, pistols, shotguns, thrown, and more. Hit, the value added to the check when using the weapon to attack. Power, the value added to the attack's power when using the weapon. Capacity, i.e. the clip. And ammo, the number of bullets or arrows per set, so the number of shots. There are some special rules for ranged weapons. Firearms consume a number of bullets per range skill, usually 1. Firearms can load ammo up to its listed capacity and cannot make ranged attacks if insufficient. Reloading requires an action. Bows and thrown weapons do not require an action to load, but consume arrows or the weapon itself per attack. Thrown weapons with the boomerang equipped skill do not expend the weapon. Among the range skills, bow skills can only be used if a bow is equipped, and firearm skills can only be used with pistols or rifles. Heavy and full auto firearms and shotguns cannot use firearm skills. That's unfortunate. I'd probably ignore that rule if I'm running this game. Not the whole thing of using firearm skills for a bow weapon. I'm not going to ignore that rule. But
oh, please don't.
But I'm perfectly fine with giving the shotgun some love. There are some weapons that are classified as special weapons that are equipped as weapons but are not used for attacks. They can only be used via their equipped skills. But then we have armor, which you have 4 stats with it, either raising physical defense, magical defense, base melee power, or base initiative. And this is cumulative for all 5 of the categories: full body, head, torso, arms, legs, and accessories. Each part only has 1 slot, except accessories, which has up to 2. But if you've got full body, you lock yourself off from any of the individual body part affairs, except for accessories. Which makes sense, because you're not going to put another gauntlet on when you're wearing a full suit of armor.
That just doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then we have, of course, consumables, which are self-explanatory. And then we have the weapons proper. I do get a kick out of the fact that the 3-section staff gets its love here. And speaking of which, it looks like most of the weapons have, with a few exceptions, have a associated equip skill. Which actually goes a long way to helping them feel unique. Like the 3-section staff gets multi-attack, which just lets them do strike damage up to 2 front row foes. Then going in further, there's quite a bit. We have the plasma sword as weapon. I could make the joke about George Lucas looking to sue somebody. But you can, and as powerful as it is, because it's first off, its gate power is 22, so don't expect to just find it your first run. Its power is 41, and its Judgment Blade effect deals expel damage. Like I said, there's a lot of weapons in this. But there's one that I'm wondering if it's there. Yep, it is here. Hino Kagetsuchi. From day one, Hino Kagetsuchi has been the recurring endgame sword. It was pretty much the sword that was wielded in the original Digital Devil story. So of course it's shown up in multiple forms since. It is, I guess I'd equate it to how the Moonlight Sword has its own reverence in FromSoft's games.
Yeah.
Because since the days of Kingsfield, it has shown up in some form. But then we have a few bows. We have also our fair share of firearms. There's a whole lot more firearms than there were in Tokyo Conception. I can put it that way. And some of them, I have a bit of a I have to have a bit of a laugh that they put them in, like the gyrojet. The gyrojet is a rocket gun. Like it fires. Its bullets are miniature rockets. But so
is it kind of like a rhino or something like that?
No, they're not. The individual rockets are the size of 9mm bullets.
Oh.
So I'd like to say it's like a rhino, but it's nowhere near. It's not as strong. But then we have minigun. You could equip a minigun by comparison.
Wouldn't that shit be heavy?
Yes, which is why it has a -20 to its hit modifier. But its power is 125.
Jeez.
And we also have the golden gun because we had to make a James Bond reference at some point.
I mean, you got to, man.
Mm-hmm.
The golden gun.
Yep. Then we have
everything in one hit.
Yeah. I do remember playing GoldenEye and having like all golden gun rules. Because yeah, the thing's a one hit, but it's also one shot. That was the only time I allowed Odd Job, because it was all Odd Job, all golden gun.
Fucking loved it.
Chaos ensued. But then we have bullets and arrows, which are going to be standard fare, though we do have holy shots, of course, because of course we do. And then thrown weapons, which there's quite a few. And then special weapons. These are weapons that you mainly have for their equip skills, not for actually using them as a weapon. You can't use them as that. Though I do find it amusing that one of them is the stun gun. And another one is a banner of courage, which feels like something that a tactician in Sword World would use. But then we go into armor, starting with full body armor, and one of the top end ones is a power suit.
I'm sure Samus won't sue.
This one isn't nearly as strong as the power suit Samus had, because it grants resist, strike, and gun affinity, weak to fire and electricity, a 10% penalty to dodge checks, and 1d10 to power rolls, to melee power rolls. So nowhere near as strong. Though there are some variations, like the Panzer armor, which nulls poison, or the Sturm armor, which nulls freeze and poison. But then we have head armor, and all the things that's going to go into. There's quite a few of them. And arm armor, which again, there's quite a few bits of equipment, and a lot of them have their own skills. So when you're fully kitted out, even if you have all of your skill slots taken up, you're still gonna have a wide variety of skills on your sheet. And I am glad for that. But then leg armor and accessories. And then one giant page of consumables.
I'm looking through the torso armor right now. I'm trying to find what would be equivalent to the battle panties.
Let's see, of the
Nope, can't find it. Damn.
Nope, there isn't that, but I did get it. But I did have that dancing heels as a thing in the weapon list. think the only thing I'd probably add to the concepts here is, maybe giving some weapons a set bonus, but that's that's a bit of an ask, which is why that's something I would house rule, not have it in the book. But
Right.
after that, there is Mystic Change. By absorbing a demon card, weapons undergo a transformation, becoming Mystic Change weapons that exhibit abilities corresponding to the absorbed demon. There are 3 kinds of Mystic Change weapons: Mystic Swords, Mystic Gauntlets, and Mystic Guns. Each Mystic weapon is given a unique name based on the absorbed weapon or characteristics of the added Mystic skill. Examples include 7-star Reverie Masamune, Pixie Knife, and Blazing Bracer. Players may name these weapons with the GM's approval. What kind of monster could live the shame of being killed by the fluffy bunny? And I know at least one of you who's going to be listening to this will inevitably make an axe that's named Kindness. You know, random acts of kindness.
Yeah.
But anyway, the fusion of material items for Mystic Change weapons and a demon card takes place at the Cathedral of Shadows. The initial fusion ends when the material item absorbs the demon and undergoes its transformation. Afterwards, you can use the standard fusion rules to change the material demon. Additionally, weapons that have undergone Mystic Change can be reverted to the original material items. Mystic Change items grant unique effects to the wielder based on the skills possessed by the material demon. When performing Mystic Change, choose one of the material demon's attack skills. If the demon has no attack skills, no mystic skill is required. Depending on the chosen skill's affinity, the Mystic Change weapon bestows the wielder with a corresponding magic attack skill according to the chart. Mystic Swords and Gauntlets grant Mystic Attack melee, and Mystic Guns grant Mystic Attack ranged. With a chart that shows additional effects based on the attack skill affinity and the mystic attack affinity. And of course, the skill can be renamed. Then the hit mod and power mod for the Mystic Sword is the Material Demon's Agility and the Material Demon's Level plus Strength, respectively. And that's for Mystic Swords. For Mystic Gauntlets, unarmed attacks and melee skills, excluding the granted Mystic Attack melee skill, and add the Material Demon's Agility to hit and Strength to power. For defense, the Material Demon's Vitality, doubled as if it had the Physical Endurance skill, and same thing with magic as if it has the Physical Endurance or Magical Endurance skills. My bad. When calculating the data for the Mystic Attack melee skill, the agility of the Material Demon is added to the hit mod, and their level plus strength is added to the power mod, same as the Mystic Sword. Note this does not stack with enhanced unarmed. Then for Mystic Guns or bow/throw weapons, the hit mod is the Material Demon's agility, the power mod adds the Material Demon's level plus strength, and the ammo capacity, if it's a gun, uses the Material Demon's luck. It's an interesting move there. And that follows through with Mystic Skills, starting with the Mystic Attack melee, ranged, and Boomerang. Boomerang is automatically granted if your Mystic Gun takes the form of a thrown weapon. Then we do have a few examples of Mystic Weapons. Though each of them uses a specific demon. Like the 7-star Reverie Masamune uses a imp. But I'm sure that if you did fusion with stronger demons, you'd end up with something a lot stronger than those entries. then we have facilities. These are essentially shops, recovery places, and so on. Starting with recovery facilities, then things like shops, whether it be junk shops or places to get weapon and armor, that sort of thing. In some places you can get demon cards. And after that is the gem table, because well, with some transactions you can't just throw Maka at the problem. You need specific gemstones. Especially for stronger equipment. Like to get a Soma drop, you need to give an amethyst. And this is especially the case if you want to trade gems for elements. But that more or less covers the data end of things. I realize we skimmed through a large amount of the skills and the like, but from what you saw, what did you think of like the skills and equipment and the facilities?
I'd say we got a varied amount of things to work with right here.
Mm-hmm.
I especially like the amount of armors we have. A lot more joke worthy with some of them, but I think a lot of them can be very beneficial for certain people, especially given the skill set I usually go for.
The last week when I talked about Tokyo Conception, I covered the equipment there. I brought up that I could understand why some people have a problem with the lack of options for humans, because the highest grade of firearm that a human could equip was a SMG. There weren't a whole lot of options for humans in that. Here, there's definitely more options, and especially when it comes to melee weapons. Like, I will always appreciate weapon variety in my RPGs, whether that be tabletop or video game. And as far as the skill setup, it's pretty much what I expected. I think the real standout is Mystic Change equipment. This feels like an incarnation of the sword fusion mechanic that was in early Mega 10, which is exactly what it sounds like. It was a way to give yourself a better weapon using demons that you weren't going to be using through comp. Which I'll end up sharing it with you later, but somebody did make a comp application to try and mimic early Mega 10 setups using these systems here. Because what they're trying to do is make their own wearable comp using a small tablet. Which, no, it wasn't a small tablet. It was using a cell phone and converting that into a wearable comp, like the ones you'd see in SMT 4.
Yeah.
Which it's certainly a bold strategy. But so far, it's exactly what I expected it was going to be, and I like the direction that it's going. Now, I will note, because of scheduling shenanigans, next week we will be shifting the day that we do these episodes, because since schedule changes, work and all of that. That means that instead of doing the finale on Tuesday, we're going to be doing it on Wednesday. We're going to be going a little bit into the Demon Compendium, though it's going to be a whole lot of skimming because it's a lot of stats of demons. Probably going aghast at some of the boss level ones, and then giving our final thoughts on Devil City Tokyo. And of course, in a few days I'll be doing the finale for Tokyo Conception. So hopefully by the end of the month I will I will have done enough to kind of look at both of them and see which one I prefer and which one I don't. Though that's not to say one's good and the other one isn't. They're both good. They're just it's just in different ways. And I will cover that in detail when the time comes. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
was